In many countries, the law defines the minimum wage. In Finland, that is not the case. How can it be that the happiest country in the world doesn't set any boundaries for minimum wage? In this video, I explain how much money you should get paid from working in some jobs in Finland, so that you can compare these wages to wages in your home country. And since our system is a bit complicated, I also want to help those who are planning to come from abroad and work in Finland, so that people could understand some of the basic rights concerning wages, so that they don't get fooled here. Because that is something that I have to say that happens, and I'm ashamed of that. So Finnish law doesn't define minimum wage in euros or dollars or in any currency. Law just states that customary and reasonable pay must be paid. What does that mean in practice? In practice, in many professions, the minimum wage is defined by collective agreed negotiations. In these negotiations, the employee unions and employer organizations from each professional sector set their own wage boundaries and working hours and other rules that they follow. So, although there is no shared minimum wage set, there are over 160 collective agreements that set boundaries for minimum wages. And most of the Finns or people working in Finland are following these agreements. So I'll put this in numbers and in practice. Let's start with people who work on public sector. All of those people are working under collective agreement that sets their minimum wage. And that is 27% of workers in our country. People working for hospitals, teachers at school, anyone working for a commune, city or state. And from people who work for private sector, so private companies, from those people, 84% of workers are under a collective agreement. And when we count together 100% of public sector workers and 84% of workers on private sector, altogether we can say that 88% of workers have a minimum wage stated in collective agreement. We have to remember that this 12% that was left outside of the collective agreements also includes manager positions, where these people have such a high salary that they don't care to belong to any unions or anything like that. Outside of this system are also left all the entrepreneurs, and 13% of workforce are entrepreneurs here in Finland. For those who are not under collective agreement, the reasonable wage that was mentioned in the law text can be based, for example, on the wage recommendations made by industry organizations. If there are no wage recommendations for the job at all, it is recommended to pay at least enough to meet the earning requirements for unemployment benefits. And under the Unemployment Security Act, for example, in 2024, so this year, this threshold is minimum 1,399 euros a month. So let's set that 1,400 euros a month. That is the bottom minimum pay you have to get from full-time job in Finland. Let's go back those 88% of people working in Finland who have a minimum wage set in their collective agreement. I went through some of the low-paying jobs and checked out the minimum wages in those jobs so that we get a more realistic picture. Let's see. The lowest minimum wage recommendation I found was a seasonal farming helping job. Something like berry picking or something like that. That is actually the work where I started my career with. And the minimum wage for these people working in fields, in forests, is €9.31 hour. And if you work full time with this minimum wage, it's less than 1,500 a month. Next job we are going to look at is cleaning job. That is also a job I have done. In cleaning jobs, the minimum wage is €1 more than in farms, so it's €10.56. This varies a bit depending on if you're working on capital area or in other areas of Finland, because on the capital area the living cost is higher. But one good thing in cleaning jobs is that you get extras if you work on evening or night shifts, and those extras are from €1 to €3.50 more per hour. So you can quite easily get working full-time job as a cleaner a salary between 1,800 and €2,000. When we talk about these minimum wages, we have to remember that in Finland, the more you earn, more you pay taxes. I put here the taxation table so that you can have some kind of calculation that what is the actual money coming to your bank account. In restaurant jobs, the minimum wage is €11.16. And I want you to remember that we don't have a tipping culture. So even if some restaurants have a tip jar at the desk, the tips are shared among all the people and tax has to be paid from that money too. And in grocery stores, people get €11.96 an hour. And let's use this working in a grocery store as an example of some cases where the minimum wage might be less, or which are the cases when you get paid more than the minimum wage. And these are not some really special cases, but really normal customs. So a full day job at grocery store at daytime work hours brings you around €1,900 a month. But if you are a miner and you are working, for example, only on summer season, then the people are allowed to pay you only 70% of the regular wage. That means that you get something like 1,300 a month. Also, trainees can be paid 85% of the recommended salary during the first year of working. And that is not just on the shops, it's almost on every industry. So, for example, in grocery stores, that would mean that your salary is around 1,600 a month. Then let's talk about some of the allowances, some of the extras that you can get paid based on the agreement. I have to read this from the paper because some of these are such a weird stuff. These are just examples. Of course, there are these normal things like extra for working on nighttime or evening time. But then there is also extra if you are working on call, so that you are at home, but you are prepared to leave any moment. If you are needed, then you have to get paid some extra. Then there are some specialized allowances. For example, working on cold storage, mountain work, climbing allowance, dirty walk, and sauna allowance. Sauna allowance is something that some people on paper industry get if they are unlucky enough so that they have to work on a Saturday evening and they can't use their sauna evening for their personal relaxation. Can you imagine how hard that is? Yeah, so we have lots of cultural specialties that people coming from other cultures just can't know. You have to have some local people to give you advice with your rights and also with the limitations that we have in our system. I hope this video helped you to get a realistic view of the minimum wage in Finland. If you have any questions, ideas, whatever, please write a comment and I'll make more videos around this subject. See you!